Here we have a new 2023 Hyundai Tucson. This one comes in the SEL trim level with the convenience package. And this is the beautiful Serenity white pearl. And then we have gray H-Tex trim interior as part of that convenience package. And the powertrain consists of a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, made it to that 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, as we come around to the front end here, we do get our LED headlamps on with LED daytime running lights, and they don't flash like that. That's just how my camera's picking it up. But ever since they've redesigned the Tucson, love the new front end here. Got that galvanized gray finished grille. Just a great look. And down here, we get the 19-inch aluminum wheels, which look really good. We get passive keyless entry on the front doors. And then we do have one-touch automatic up and down windows for the front. Then we just have regular power windows for the back. Rear window lock there. And then we have our power mirrors that we can adjust here and power door lock controls as well. Little storage in the door panel here, bottle holder there. And then over here we have our brightness for the gauge cluster. We can hold this for our power lift gate. And then we have our traction control we can toggle as well. As well as the manual tilt telescope steering wheel. And then here we have our power driver seat with two-way power lumbar support. But I have that seat up front adjust for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs. So let's go ahead and check out this space. So decent space back here. One thing that helps is being able to recline the seat backs, which you don't see a lot, especially in vehicles at this price point. So that's pretty impressive to me. And then we do have netted seat back pockets on both sides. And there's a view of the front from back here. And I love that we get the LED dome lights. So again, pretty impressive in terms of leg room. And then middle seat folds down, cup holders are there. And I love Hyundai's hooks. You can probably hang 2 regular size hangers on that hanger hook there. But a huge shout out to Hyundai of Cool Springs for allowing me to review this Tucson today. I'll leave a link below to the vehicle as well as their entire inventory in the description below. Well, let's take a look at this window sticker. So you can pause anywhere you need to. And the convenience package for me, I definitely think is worth that $22.50, because for what you get with this vehicle, $33,315 is not bad at all. But let's make our way towards the back. Fuel cap there. Sorry if it's kind of loud. It's a little bit windy, and then I'm right next to the interstate. And there's look at the back end there. We do get LED tail lights. Again, they don't flash. That's just how the camera's picking it up. We do have a tow hitch as well. Probably mostly for just bikes or something like that. But tons of cargo space behind that second row. Very impressed by that. Floor mats are here. And then we have the spare underneath there. Then we do get a 12 volt back here. And then we can actually use this to fold the seats flat up front. So you can see how much more space you get with that second row folded. So if you need longer objects to go in there, or just more cargo space, you have that capability. So pretty easy to just snap that back into place. And again, you can just fold it flat there while also using that same lever to recline if you want to. Now to the front passenger seat, this is gonna be a 4-way manual seat. But I will say I love the perforated look. It makes these seats look really premium. And then glove compartment, decent size. And I think I forgot to pop the hood, so next I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So there's that 2.5 liter Smart Stream naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, which usually gets the job done pretty adequately. Now I love the turbo setup more, but again, it's a pretty good engine for what it is. But hopping in the driver's seat here, we do get a nice leather wrap steering wheel, feels pretty good. Cut the AC down over here. To the radio, we have AM, FM, and XM. And we can choose between those bands there. And then we do have wired Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto compatibility along with Bluetooth. And then over here we can go through our general settings. So if you want to change the language, right in there. And then if you want to change date, time, all of that, right in there. And this is a pretty simple setup here for the radio, and I like that about this one because it actually does quite a bit without being super complicated. And there's a backup camera there, guidelines, follow you, turn the steering wheel. And then we do have shortcuts on the side there. So you hit that media button if your phone's set up, and then you can go through your tune, and then a quick settings button there, Wi-Fi hotspot, and your climate controls. You can pull those up here if you want to recirculate the air, automatic ventilation, you can toggle all of that. And volume control, you can use that as a mute, and then you can hold it and then power the system off. But down here for the cruise controls, you can adjust temperature here. You can unsync just by toggling the passenger side temperature control, or you can just hit that button. And then AC toggle there, fan speed here, and then you can turn the whole system off there. And then you have 3-stage auto mode, so you have a low, high, and a medium to get you to whatever temperature you have set up here. And then you can adjust where the air is coming from here. And we do have a diffuse there, and then the rear defroster as well as the front defroster shortcuts right there. Now down here we have the USB port. It's both USB-A's. Now this is for your CarPlay, Android Auto, and then that's just a charge port. Then you have a 12-volt here and a wireless charging indicator there, and that's your wireless charging pad right here. Now you do get, as part of that convenience package, the leather wrap shifter. So you just pull the lever behind, reverse, neutral, drive, and you can come over here and you can manually shift that 8-speed. And then you can toggle your auto stop here, your camera, your automatic brake hold, as well as your hill descent. And then you have an electronic parking brake. Just pull up to engage, hit the brake, press down to disengage. And then your 3-stage heated seats for the driver, front, passenger right here. And then for the center console cubby space, pretty decent size, no charge ports or anything, but you do have that additional storage. And we do get the premium dome lights here as well. And then we also have that power sunroof control here. So you can one-touch slide that back. You can tilt it as well, but you can also close it one touch too. So there's a view of the back seat from up here. Now back to the steering wheel. Blinkers here, headlamps, corners, auto, off. And then in auto, you can toggle those automatic high beams. That indicator will come up at the top of the gauge cluster. And then you can toggle your low beams, or high beams, excuse me, when your low beams are on by hitting that, and then turn them off by flashing off, and then you can flash as well. Now for the windshield wipers, we do have one touch, and then we have intermittent, low, high. We can adjust our intermittent here, and then we have our rear wiper there. And then pull back for the rear wiper fluid, push up for the front wiper fluid. And then to the steering wheel itself, favorites, you can set that up there. So when I click that, you can actually choose what that button does. And then you can set up the mode button here, so it'll toggle through your audio sources as well. So for that button there, you can go through AM, FM, XM, or if you want to turn something off, you can do that. Voice recognition's here, volume controls here, that's a mute. And then you can go through your track list or radio station presets here, Bluetooth button. And then to the right side of the steering wheel, smart cruise, and then gap adjust for that, lane centering, and then we can use this to go through the sub menus of the gauge cluster, and then we can adjust within each sub-menu, when applicable, the different views. And then this is just for the cruise to set and resume that. And then we have push button start. Hazards are here. Finally, here's the key fob with remote start. But next it's time to go ahead and take this Tucson out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this Tucson SEL Convenience, I've driven several Tucsons with a 2.5 liter, made it with that 8-speed. And again, it gets the job done quite efficiently. Not as fun to drive as a turbocharged engine, but again, if you want something that's just simple, it kind of reminds me of the Camry, because the Camry has that 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, as well as that 8-speed automatic. And it just makes for a very simple powertrain. But again, just like how Toyota's is set up, it's a naturally aspirated 4, but it does have enough power to get you through the day. Wouldn't race anybody in it, but again, it can pretty much keep up with traffic. And if you have to bust a move every so often, you can do that too. Now you only have the normal sport and the smart modes with this Tucson, which I like because the eco mode really would be your normal mode. And I like that you don't have something that's limiting you the entire time, because it's just probably not good for the car. And on the highway, you're still getting good enough fuel economy where you shouldn't need to have an eco mode anyway. And the sport mode in this tends to be, well, I'll show you. It over exaggerates a little bit, but at the same time, it's pretty great. Again, a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, so for what that is, it's pretty remarkable, honestly. But we'll test it to its full potential getting on the interstate here. And I'm not gonna give it a full pull, but I'm gonna give it some throttle here. So again, definitely not a slouch, especially going downhill, merging onto the interstate. Let's put in a smart mode, turn on everything, test out the cruise here. So there I have the lane centering on, as well as the adaptive cruise. Pretty solid system. Of course, it's going to ask you to keep your hands on the wheel every so often, but pretty good, again, for what it is. And the ride was actually pretty nice too. Most of the Hyundais that I've driven, the rides are very good, not super bouncy, and the steering is also not super loose. And for how much they cost, I think that's what makes them such good buys right now, because I haven't really driven a terrible Hyundai, knock on wood. So coming off the auto stop, I like that the cabin stayed relatively cool even as the engine was cut off, and then letting my foot off the brake, I was able to accelerate with no problem. Now when you have the automatic brake hold on, you will have to actually touch the gas pedal to get the auto stop to come off, so that takes a little bit longer, but if you're not trying to hit it out of a stoplight, you shouldn't have any issues with that. But in terms of competition, first thing that comes to mind is always the RAV4. I like the Tucson better than the RAV4 just because of the looks, what you get for the money in my opinion, and then also just how it drives. I feel like the drive modes and with everything else considered, the Tucson feels better behind the wheel. And then also the Chevy Equinox is a competitor several other small UVs, including the Ford Escape. But I feel like every small SUV out right now has its own kind of, I guess, market share, what makes it different, what helps it stand out. And with a Tucson, to me, I think it's the price point, the packages, and the looks for me. I feel like it's one of the better looking SUVs out, even though pretty much every other competitor has had a refresh more recently than the Tucson. But still a great SUV for the money, in my opinion. And this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2023 Hyundai Tucson SEL with the convenience package.